Baruch Hashem, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Let's take one more thrust. The HaYom Yom, I think that there's enough people who already broadcast this daily. In general, I kind of don't broadcast the HaYom Yom daily, but I think in the process of this preparation for the yard site of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that is behoove of us to continue along with us, this and share the message that's inside. Today is the 20th of Sivan. It says, my revered grandfather, the Rebbe Maharash, used to say, the intellectual and emotional constitution of a chassid mirrors his first yechidus, which the yechidus is, it's like, a private meeting with a Rebbe or the Rebbe. Let's see how it goes and explains this concept at the beginning of the year here. For those who don't understand, and those are the ones we're trying to reach, the rest of y'all are well on your way and can be lighting other fires. But let us light fires together. It's like a private interview, okay? It says on a deeper level, it's an encounter of souls at which a chassid turns to his Rebbe for guidance, enlightenment, and blessings, okay? So the emotional constitution of the chassid mirrors his first yechidus with his Rebbe. The first yechidus reflects the chassid's essential nature. The path and divine service that the Rebbe gives the chassid at the time corresponds to this essential nature. It goes on here, a chassid, to remember the part that's not in the printed Chayenu and that we don't necessarily see online. And the letter from which the above teaching is taking, it's from, for those of you who are more advanced, it's from Igor's Kodesh of the Rebbe Ra'atz, letter 1115, Hebrew, volume 4, page 540, and also the entry for the 30th of Shivat in the HaYom Yom, 3 weeks after the Rebbe took the Nesius, 20 days. So in the letter from which the above teaching is taken, the Rebbe Ra'atz cites a description given by the Rebbe Maharash of two diverse modes within the Chabad approach to divine service. A steady and measured intellectual approach, and B, a radical and spontaneous emotional approach. As I see this, it reminds me of a concept I was speaking with yesterday about religious fervor. Let's see what it says here in the footnote. It says, the Rebbe Ra'atz explains that this approach too is found in Chabad, for it too is nourished by intellectual stimuli, except that the response to them is emotional. Significantly, the only kind of emotional response that he countenanced was one that leads to a tangible correspondent who conveyed the glad tidings that he had recently experienced a real emotional arousal. It's calling it hispalos. During davening, the Rebbe Ra'atz wrote, hispalos, this emotional arousal alone, i.e. exuberance that does not lead to a practical change and tumult in the course of divine service, are appropriate for angels, not for embodied souls. Okay, so there's make me want to go into Mayim Rabim after Shabbos. Perhaps we should go back through that again. And for Malafa Malka Blinator, we'll go back through the Mayim Rabim. At any rate, continuing along with the HaYom Yom, it says, as exemplars of these approaches, he names two famous Chabad Hasidim, Rabbi Moshe Venlinker and Rabbi Yekusiel Lepler, and describes how their respective personalities were reflected in their first Yechidus, this private interview with the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the Hazachin. I still don't know why they call him that. For 3 years, Rabbi Moshe Villaneker prepared himself for his first Yechidus with the Alter Rebbe. If you have the answer to that, put it in the box. After that encounter, he was so overwhelmed by the Rebbe's teaching that he had to appoint 2 Hasidim to watch over him that evening, lest his absorption in them cause him to inadvertently skip words in the evening service and the prayer before retiring at night. For this is the way of a thinker, slow, methodical, but intense. This is referring to his spiritual personality, I guess. By contrast, as soon as Rabbi Yecheskel Lepler learned about the path of Chassidus and the Alter Rebbe, he rushed to Liozna to meet him at Yechidus in this private interview again. The elder Chassidim at the door refused him entry, declaring that he would first have to prepare himself. However, he was not the kind of man who would have taken no for an answer. He promptly clambered up the wall outside the Rebbe's private study in the attic, jumped in through the window and cried, "Rebbe, chop off my left side," the side that's more prone to. It's saying Rabbi Yecheskel was alluding to his evil inclination, Yetzer Hara, an impulse whose source is evil and hence cannot be elevated. By contrast, Chassidut, the Chassidus, often describes the left side of the heart as the location of the animal soul, this Nefesh HaBahamis, which derives from the translucent shell, quote unquote, which is Klipas Nogai, and hence does not have the potential to be sublimated. At any rate, Rabbi Yecheskel was seeking a shortcut to his goal. Such fiery emotion was the basis of his subsequent connection with the Rebbe. We see in Lakutei Devarim in the English translation, volume 1, pages 61 and 62. I have to pull mine out. I looked 3 times for it. We may have to get an additional copy. Incidentally, Rabbi Yecheskel's peers later testified that this request was granted. The Alter Rebbe's blessing indeed enabled him to climb to greater heights. However, they did not look fondly on his new spiritual attainments, because he had secured them as a gift instead of earning them by his own toil. These vignettes illustrate the way in which the first Yechidus of every chassid is tailored to his distinctive spiritual personality and empowers it further. As far as gifts, though, it's in my heart to let you know that, like when we give tzedakah, when we give money, okay, if we give the money and you have worked for it and earned it, then so much it is like, so if you've worked, you're giving yourself. So as this money comes back in, if you give someone your money, it's like you're giving them a piece of yourself. But they say, so what if the money was received by inheritance? Then, so it's not so much as giving a piece of themselves, but no, it still is, because the funds that you give to another person, even if you had not directly earned it or inherited it, you could have had more luxurious things. You could have had a nicer steak or a finer wine, but you've given this to someone else. So likewise, in the same sense, it is the most glorious thing. May we all have clarity and understanding and understand sacrifice and be able to give tzedakah, small amounts, large amounts, and dedicate time to our godly pursuits and receive understanding from above and connect to a God who loves us and cares for us and shares with us and cares with us and is fortunate enough to reveal himself to us. May we walk upright into this messianic era all together as one. Okay.